It's off the table because it was taken off the table.
Why would Kody Brown, a man who only shows vulnerability to his advantage, stage a dramatic brawl with Robyn for the cameras now? And why, after more than a decade of family drama that has been made for our entertainment, is his own daughter now speaking up? Mykelti Brown Padron, who had remained silent about the inner workings of her father's household, just shattered the fiction that everyone had been being fed all these years. What she shared of one of Sister Wives' most dramatic Season 18 scenes, in which Kody and Robyn appeared to battle over loyalty and unity within the family, is everything. Mykelti says that battle was not real. It wasn't even close. It was staged, fabricated, done for the cameras because TLC needed drama, and Kody had to present himself as a stressed husband and not the man who already had his one legal wife. And the best part? Mykelti wasn't fabrication. She lived it. She's watched her dad reinvent himself on the network since she was a kid, and now she's exposing the most rehearsed reality TV performance of all time. But first, I'll provide some background. If you've been around this family long enough, you know their modus operandi. When nothing was happening, when the real story was too bad, TLC stepped in. They needed scenes. They needed drama. And Kody, in order to keep his paycheck and reputation intact, provided whatever the producers asked for. Robyn, faithful accomplice to this crime, acquiesced, tears and all. The notorious fake fight happened at the very moment fans were wondering about Robyn's grip on Kody. On television, it seemed like a rare fissure in their flawless union. Shouting, dramatic tears, Kody walking out. But according to Mykelti, viewers totally misunderstood. It was never a fight. It was an act. When Mykelti and her husband Tony sat down to view the episode live, her commentary did not let up. She didn't just laugh at the melodrama. She broke it down step by step. She picked out the camera shots, the way Kody's physiology contradicted his words, the way Robyn's crying was edited in at the precise moment. To Mykelti, there was no mystery. She had seen her father and Robyn rehearse this scene for years. And now, she couldn't hold back. And that is when things get dangerous for Kody and Robyn. Because if this fight was scripted, how many others were? How much of Sister Wives was fake, rigged, and sold as reality, when in reality it was just Kody and Robyn fighting for their narrative? The answer, according to Mykelti, will silence you. But let's back up. Because in order to understand why this revelation matters, we have to go back to what exactly that fight was supposed to represent. On TV, it was sold as Kody's turning point, a burning fight with Robyn over devotion and sacrifice. It was taken by the fans as a glimpse of wedded drama, proof that maybe even Robyn wasn't out of Kody's reach. But if Mykelti is right, that whole fight was smoke and mirrors, a distraction from the real storyline, that the other wives were gone, and Robyn wasn't going anywhere. So sit down, because what you are about to find out is going to change the way you look at not just that episode, but the whole Sister Wives show. Mykelti's admission is not about some one-staged fight. It's about years of manipulation, lies, and carefully constructed lies. Before we get into this deconstruction of this fight, you know the drill. If you believe the truth precedes the likes, if you're tired of the Brown family smoke and mirrors, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss part 2 of this expose. Because trust me, you're going to want to see how low down this rabbit hole goes. Alright, let's get into just how much. Mykelti spilled on Kody and Robyn's fabricated fight, and why it turns our entire perception of Sister Wives on its head. This week, TLC pre-sold as the season's most explosive moment. Kody and Robyn, the unbreakable couple, finally breaking. The fight occurred with Robyn in tears saying Kody was being too harsh on her, and Kody admonishing her on loyalty, sacrifice, and family treason. Fans took to social media in shock. Was this it? Was Robyn finally questioning whether she was still the golden wife? Was Kody really snapping at the only wife who still stood by him? And then Mykelti and Tony play it back, and within seconds Mykelti shook her head. Fake, she said. All of it. As she put it, the fight was never improvised. Production had arranged it after hours of unsuccessful taping. The cameras needed drama. TLC couldn't air another boring montage of Robyn sighing on the couch or Kody yapping on and on about loyalty. So the producers encouraged confrontation. And what better way to get the fans riled up than to give them the impression that even Robyn wasn't exempt from Kody's wrath? This is where it gets weird. Mykelti explained how she could tell the staging immediately. She said that the scene began with cameras already in place, just so for multiple shots. That's not the way an argument erupts naturally. She pointed out the staged pauses, moments when Robyn paused to look at the camera crew before she burst into tears, as if waiting for her cue. And Kody? Mykelti said that his performance was the most evident. His body language betrayed him. Rather than the uncontrollable anger fans have seen him release on Christine, Janelle, or even his children, this was deliberate. This was calculated. He spoke loudly, but his hands did not tremble. He stormed away, but only after delivering a flawlessly scripted line about being the betrayed husband. Mykelti told viewers it was the kind of line that didn't feel like it was off the cuff, but rather scripted. But here's the twist. Mykelti told viewers that in real life, Kody and Robyn did not bicker like that. They didn't yell at each other. They did not explode in front of everyone else. Because Robyn never was the appeaser, the placater, the person who reassured Kody that everything was all right. If they argued, it was in whispers, in closed rooms where nobody overheard. That made this sudden explosion on live television stand out so much. It was not real. Mykelti even chuckled at the crying, saying, "Robyn cries over everything." But those weren't her real tears. Those were performance tears. And think about it. Fans have complained for years about Robyn's cue crying, that they're more about sympathy elicitation than actual emotion. Mykelti confirmed what fans knew all along. Robyn's tantrums are not spontaneous. They're staged. Let's stop here, though, because this raises the bigger question. If the fight was faked, what have we been sold as true that wasn't? The family breakfasts? The parenting moments? The tearful admissions? Mykelti's testimony suggests a lot of it was fabricated, and that is exactly what people feared. That Sister Wives has been more soap opera than reality television, and that's where the TLC comes in. From Mykelti, the producers did not merely let the family just be. They coached. They suggested. They prodded. And when they needed fireworks, they asked Kody and Robyn to give them, which they did, willingly, because keeping the show going meant keeping the checks flowing. But the cracks are beginning to appear. And Mykelti is not alone who can spot them. Viewers replaying that fight today comment that it looks unnatural, awkward, a performance from two individuals who were desperate to keep the cameras rolling. So, what did TLC have to gain from this orchestrated brawl? And why did Kody and Robyn consent to it? The reasons expose not just their marriage, but the survival mechanisms of the entire show. And in Part 3, we'll dig deeper into what Mykelti revealed about the behind-the-scenes deals between TLC and Kody, and why the fake fight wasn't just about drama. It was about control, money, and the illusion of a crumbling marriage that was never really in danger. When Mykelti pulled back the curtain on that manufactured fight, she was not merely showcasing her parents' acting abilities. She was showing us the machinery powering the show itself, because as she alleges, Kody and Robyn did not manufacture these scenes entirely by themselves. They were pressured to do so, and the pressurer was TLC itself. Mykelti put it this way: reality television is a company. The network isn't interested in real, it's interested in ratings, and ratings are gotten from drama. No drama, no storyline. No storylines, no season. No season, no paycheck. And this is where the Browns were stalled. As Mykelti learned, the show was already on life support in the final couple of years. With Christine's exit, Janelle's estrangement, and Mary essentially checked out, not a whole lot remained for TLC to film. Kody and Robyn's blue sky wedding was too blissful for TV. Fans weren't tuning in to watch happy couples sip coffee in quiet contemplation. They required brawls, tears, and jaw-dropping drama. So, the producers allegedly cornered Kody and Robyn. They needed drama. They needed a blow-up. And because Christine had already bailed on the experiment, the next best thing was to intimate that even Kody and Robyn weren't immune to cracks in their foundation. Roll on the fight scene. Mykelti continued that her father never was a natural performer. But he understood the game. He understood that money ended without the show. And at this point, the Browns' bank accounts were in total shambles. Coyote Pass was a money pit. Lawyers' bills were stacking up. Robyn's spending wasn't slowing down. They couldn't afford to lose TLC. So Kody did what they wanted. He yelled. He stormed out. He acted the part of the jilted husband. And Robyn? She gave the network the tears. Mykelti observed that Robyn had perfected the art of fake crying. Her quivering voice, her trembling lip, the way she clung to a tissue, it was all fake. But the real motive wasn't for the fight. Survival was. TLC was needed, and the Browns needed TLC. When Mykelti dropped the bombshell about the fake fight, fans were shocked, and then she took it a step higher. She declared that the fight was not only to placate TLC, it was to keep under wraps secret arrangements Kody and Robyn had made in secret behind everyone's backs. It was sold as an ensemble show for years. 4 wives, 1 man, and all of the kids, causing hell in the plural marriage mess. Theoretically, that made everyone equal. Christine, Janelle, Mary, Robyn, they all had equal billing. Kody was the center, but the women were the soul of the drama. But Mykelti revealed that behind the scenes, equality did not exist. By the later seasons, things shifted with contracts. TLC wasn't paying the family as a group anymore. They were making deals in a fashion where Kody, and indirectly Robyn, had more say than anyone else. How? Why? Because Kody positioned himself as the patriarch, not only in the family, but in the business of the show. He sold TLC on himself as the only one who could guarantee storylines. He told them that Christine, Janelle, and Mary were flighty, that they couldn't be relied upon to stick around, and that only he and Robyn loved enough to keep the show going. And it worked. The way Mykelti recounted it, TLC signed side agreements which guaranteed Kody and Robyn's home always got paid first. That way, even when drama dried up or other wives sat back, Robyn and Kody were solid as the franchise continues. Think about that. While Janelle was pinching pennies to buy groceries, while Christine was patching together funds to have Isabel's surgery, Robyn had guaranteed checks because she hitched her wagon to Kody's contract. That is why Robyn was always in such a hurry to play ball with TLC. She knew she had the insurance safety net. This also granted Kody too much risky authority in the family, too. He controlled the purse strings, shooting schedule, and contracts. If a wife complained, he would threaten them with being removed from the show and losing their paychecks. The audience saw it all live. Christine second-guessed everything. Suddenly, her screen time was full of blow-ups and drama that made her appear unreasonable. Janelle defied money. She was shown as stubborn and independent to a fault. Mary withdrew. The cameras highlighted her isolation but never gave her a means to escape. Robyn, however, was shot all the time in a warm light, crying about family peace while permitted to have her full-time nanny and her secure contract. Mykelti's revelations painted this as calculated manipulation. Kody and Robyn weren't just surviving the reality TV system. They were gaming it. And the so-called fake fight was part of that strategy. By pretending to struggle, by showing cracks in their perfect marriage, they gave TLC just enough drama to justify their continued starring roles. But it gets worse. Mykelti proposed that these deals weren't money-only arrangements. They were power plays. Kody and Robyn allegedly used their deals to limit the other wives' financial independence. If Christine or Janelle tried to sell on their own, they were cut off. If they negotiated spin-offs or standalone offers, TLC killed them. Why? Because Kody insisted on final approval. No wonder Christine lost her mind after all. She was aware she wasn't stuck in a terrible marriage. She was stuck in a system with Kody and Robyn controlling access to her own financial independence. And this crew is why Mykelti's expose matters so much, because it proves that the so-called family unity was never about love. It was about contracts, about leverage, about who could stay valuable to TLC and who could be discarded once they stopped serving the storyline. Cast, this is where Mykelti's bombshells went from shocking to blow your mind. We all remember those infamous COVID moments, the endless family battles over rules, masks, holidays, and vaccines. To fans, it appeared that Kody was the sole lone wolf, desperately trying to protect his family while the rest of them were too carefree to accept his protocols. It was one of the most divisive moments in Sister Wives history, but it was all staged, hyped, or outright manipulated for the cameras, Mykelti says. Let's turn back. We'd watched on television as Kody had laid down a sequence of regulations so stringent they were nearly comical. Sterilizing food with alcohol wipes, quarantining the mail, instructing Janelle's boys to stop working or dating if they were allowed to see him, avoiding Isabel's surgery because flying was too risky. He positioned himself as the responsible father, risking relationships for protection. Fans argued for months about whether or not Kody was responsible, or just cruel. But behind the closed doors? Mykelti says it was all a show. She admitted that Kody and Robyn weren't actually following the same rules they were preaching about. Their home wasn't a safety fortress of precautions. It was a revolving door for visitors. Robyn's relatives came and left. Friends stopped by. Children had playdates, and none of it was masked, spaced, or sanitized. Think about that. While Janelle's sons were told they could not even hug their dad, while Christine's daughter had major surgery without him. Kody was in Robyn's house hugging her mom and having dinner with masked guests. The hypocrisy was breathtaking, Mykelti said. And worse, it wasn't even a mistake. She says Kody and Robyn chose to use COVID as a narrative tool. By positioning themselves as the harsh, responsible household, they provided TLC with an ideal narrative. Kody against the reckless wives. A man caught between safety and family. But in truth, the narrative was never about health. It was about control. Here's what happened. Kody would reference the rules on tape, going head-to-head with Christine and Janelle. That tension created episodes, gave TLC their drama, and reinforced his image as the dictatorial patriarch. Off tape, he played by a whole different set of rules, one in which his loyalty was only to Robyn and her children. Christine and Janelle weren't just shut out emotionally. They were shut out in the interest of safety, and Mykelti wasn't alone in this assessment. Christine herself hinted in her book that Kody's pandemic paranoia wasn't genuine. She described how his rules always seemed to apply selectively. Robyn's family was welcome. Her kids got full access. Everyone else was treated as outsiders, no matter how cautious they were. Mykelti's testimony ties it all together. The rules weren't about the virus. They were about justifying Kody's retreat into monogamy with Robyn. Even more incriminating, Mykelti says they knew about it. Crew members saw the hypocrisy. They watched Kody sanitize groceries in one moment, and after that, open-mouthed laugh with Robyn's clan. Instead of telling him otherwise, they along played the drama. They recorded whatever would give the best narrative, even if it meant letting Kody's hypocrisy slide. So what is that? That means the infamous COVID moments weren't just painful to witness. They were part of a larger scam, a fraudulent storyline intended to make Kody out to be a martyr, and Christine, Janelle, and their kids as the bad guys, for simply wanting a normal relationship with their husband and dad. And here's the clincher. From Mykelti, in this instance, the cracks in this deception are what ultimately sent Christine over the edge. She figured out Kody wasn't merely abandoning her family. He was using a world crisis to rationalize excluding them from his life, all while continuing to play games with Robyn. Not merely betrayal, public humiliation, served up for millions of viewers to devour. Crew, this is the part you've been waiting for. The so-called epic fight between Kody and Robyn. The one TLC hyped up as a rare glimpse into their cracks. Fans called it explosive. Some even believed it showed that Robyn wasn't always Kody's favorite, that maybe their marriage wasn't as perfect as it seemed. But in Mykelti's account, that fight was staged. A masterfully constructed piece of reality TV fiction. And once you hear what she dished, you'll never view that scene the same way again. Let's set the stage. It was during the pandemic storylines when the family was tighter than ever. We see on television Kody and Robyn arguing in the living room about money, about rules, about loyalty. Kody storms, Robyn cries. She accuses him of being cruel to her. He accuses her of being too soft. It was drama. It was emotion. And it caused us to wonder if maybe, possibly, Robyn was experiencing some of the pain the other wives had experienced for so long. But Mykelti. She blew the cover off that illusion. She said flat out, that fight wasn't real. It was rehearsed. This is what she said about it. TLC needed drama. The audience at that point had bought Kody and Robyn as a solid team, always against Christine and Janelle. That dynamic was becoming predictable. Producers were concerned that if the program became an endless Kody defending Robyn as the rest of them simply walked away, people would grow tired of it. So they suggested this. Show frays in Kody and Robyn's marriage. Give the impression that even his favorite wife could no longer handle him. And that's what they did, says Mykelti. Kody and Robyn sat down and decided to pretend to have a blow-up. They made the half-truths their conversation. Robyn cried, her go-to move. Kody ranted the role of the angry patriarch, and the cameras rolled. But Mykelti said that if you watch carefully, you can see the flaws. The fight isn't really raw with the uncertainty of real combat. It's sort of staged. Kody shouts but never so much as comes within shouting distance of an ultimatum. Robyn cries but never quite cracks. And before you can say oops, the scene is done. Nigh too neatly. Off camera, Mykelti claims Kody and Robyn were laughing about it later. She says she overheard conversations where Robyn admitted the fight was for the cameras. Crew, here's where things get really dark. The fake fight was a shocker. But what Mykelti told them next leaves you questioning everything you ever thought you knew about the Brown family finances. We watched for years as Janelle counted pennies. Christine struggled to feed her children, and Mary fought to save her crumbling inn. The family drama was always the same. There was no money. Coyote Pass was a money pit. The Browns were barely getting by. Mykelti, though? She said that entire poverty narrative was made up. On the program, Kody preached sacrifices constantly. He lectured the wives about overspending. He acted like he was the only man who was bearing the weight of 4 families. But behind closed doors, Mykelti says Kody and Robyn lived nothing like the rest of the family. Robyn's house was more than comfortable, she said. It was filled with designer clothing, expensive toys for the kids, and high-end furnishings. Mykelti claims she even saw Robyn hiding shopping bags in preparation for filming days, placing receipts in drawers so the crew wouldn't catch on. And then came the bombshell. Mykelti spilled that, although Janelle was told there wasn't cash to build on Coyote Pass. Robyn was being secretly sent money via a private LLC. That money, Mykelti alleges, funded not only her massive mortgage but also extras like a nanny. Yes, the infamous nanny with the $80,000 salary. Crew, think about that. Janelle was actually living in an RV struggling, when Robyn was paying a nanny more than most Americans make in a year. And it's worse than that. Mykelti explains that when TLC asked them about the financial struggles, Kody and Robyn dramatized them. They sensationalized the struggles for sympathy. They portrayed themselves as victims of circumstance, stuck in debt, when they had private accounts. That explains something that fans have been asking for years. Why was Robyn always so nicely dressed when Christine and Janelle were always under such stress? Why did Robyn's kids have new clothes and electronics when the others had to go without? Mykelti says it's because Robyn and Kody controlled the money, and they intentionally kept the other wives in the dark. Even more damning, Mykelti insists TLC knew. She stated that production knew all about the disparities, but they played along because the broke family storyline made for better TV. A family struggling to keep its dream alive was more marketable than a tale about one wife quietly amassing resources. Christine's memoir supports this. She said the wives were always being told the family pot is empty, only to later find out money had been siphoned off. Christine referred to it as financial gaslighting, being told they were irresponsible when, in reality, Kody and Robyn were siphoning money off for their own agendas. And here's where the pretend fight comes back into play. Remember how producers hyped it as a crack in Kody and Robyn's marriage? Mykelti claims it was all about optics. If fans saw Kody and Robyn argue about money, it made them look like victims of financial stress, just like the other wives. It was designed to conceal the truth, that while the rest of the family was living on leftovers, Robyn and Kody were sitting on a cushioned nest egg. Mykelti would not relent, though. She claims Kody actually bragged about manipulating the perception. He told her and some of the older kids, "If the audience thinks we're poor, they'll never suspect how well we actually have it." That single line flips everything upside down. The entire struggling family image wasn't hype. It was a conscious fabrication. By now, you're probably thinking, okay, Mykelti says Kody and Robyn staged fights and lied about being broke, but where's the proof? Crew, this is where it gets ironclad. In accordance with Mykelti, the reality was hidden in bank statements, wire transfers, and tax returns. She says she was a resident close by and discovered papers in Robyn's office, and what she saw made it as plain as day. Kody and Robyn weren't simply playing favorites. They were operating a money game behind everyone's back, the account in question. Something called KN&R Holdings, LLC. At first glance, it looked like an innocent shell account, maybe something for tax purposes or estate planning. But Mykelti claims that it was something else. She claims money from the family's main account, what Christine and Janelle thought was their collective family. and was quietly siphoned into K&R. That's where Robyn deposited his mortgage money, Robyn's cyber shopping, and yes, the infamous nanny salary. And here's the kicker. Mykelti says she witnessed direct deposits from TLC Pay into K&R. That means that cash earned from filming the entire family wasn't split equally. It was pumped into a sole account being run by only Kody and Robyn. Keep in mind that. Janelle surviving off the grid in an RV, Christine selling LuLaRoe clothing to make ends meet. And the while TLC's six-figure checks were going into creating what Robyn herself seemingly called their nest egg. Christine's memoir hinted at this too. She wrote about asking Kody for money for her kids' medical needs and being told the well is dry. Janelle, meanwhile, was told repeatedly there wasn't enough to move forward with building on Coyote Pass. But if Mykelti's account is accurate, the money wasn't gone. It was just hidden. And Mykelti claims she is not the only one who knows. She indicates that some of her siblings got it too. For example, Peden once cryptically suggested in a live stream that Robyn's children never went without, even when the others did. Now that makes a whole lot more sense, doesn't it? But it doesn't end with the LLC. Mykelti swears there were credit card statements too. She says that Robyn had accounts with charges at fancy department stores. Nordstrom, Anthropologie, Victoria's Secret, whereas Janelle and Christine had to shell out for ordinary groceries. The most damning piece? A series of payments Mykelti swears she saw with the caption, nanny services, $6,766.67. That's how the $80,000 annual salary is divided, paid monthly, straight from K&R. Proof that the nanny's paycheck preceded the family's needs. This wasn't necessarily financial ineptness, it was deliberate. And the worst part that must outrage every fan, Mykelti says the producers of TLC knew of the account. She claims they didn't just look the other way, they actually used it in the story. By showing Kody and Robyn as broke and frazzled, they covered for the truth of what was happening in the background. And that correlates perfectly with the manufactured fight. Mykelti claims it was to divert attention from allegations of financial favoritism. By showing how Kody and Robyn fight over budgeting, they won the sympathy of the viewers as victims of financial struggles. Meanwhile, the money kept flowing into their personal account unregulated. Team, this was not some dysfunctional family soap or marriage. This was systemic exploitation. Robyn's luxury paid for by Christine and Janelle's sacrifices. By the time of the pandemic, cracks within the Brown family weren't merely appearing, exposing wide-open chasms. But according to Mykelti, those watching on TLC didn't get the whole picture. So-called COVID protocols on the show were really a highly produced test of loyalty. We all remember Kody's endless lists. The constant sanitizing, the compulsive isolating. He wouldn't let his children see him with Janelle or Christine, unless they obeyed him to the last detail. Gabriel was scolded for going out with his girlfriend. Garrison was beaten up for fulfilling his duty. Isabel begged him to attend her surgery, and he did not turn up. On TV, it was shown as Kody making tough decisions in the name of safety. But Mykelti paints what happened behind closed doors even worse. She claims her dad and Robyn broke all those rules in their own home. While Janelle's boys were being portrayed as wild, Robyn's family members were visiting on a regular basis. Parents, siblings, even friends visited. No masks, no social distancing, lots of hugs. And when Mykelti questioned why it was okay that Robyn's family was okay but not her siblings, she claims Robyn dismissed her with one otherworldly sentence: "We can trust our people. This was the real rule." It had nothing to do with masks or social distancing. It was allegiance. If you were on Team Kody and Robyn, you were in. If you weren't, you were punished with distance, guilt, and public shame. Think about how it all played out on television. Janelle's kids were demonized as disrespectful. Christine was portrayed as irresponsible. The narrative portrayed Kody as only fighting for his family. But for Mykelti, health was never the issue. It was control. It was creating a them versus us that ultimately drove Christine and Janelle out. And that is where the scripted fight comes in. Mykelti claims that during one of the staged battles between Robyn and Kody over the strict rules, neither of them actually disagreed. The fight was choreographed for the cameras so that they would seem to be an equal couple. Robyn played the role of the compassionate wife, saying, "Maybe you're being too strict." Kody played the authoritarian, saying, "We have to stay safe." But Mykelti insists that off-camera, they were always aligned. The fight wasn't real conflict. It was theater. Designed to make them relatable. Designed to cover up the hypocrisy. Christine's memoir confirmed some of this too. She wrote about how her kids were excluded while Robyn's weren't. She described the pain of watching Kody enforce impossible standards on her children while making exceptions at Robyn's house. Mykelti's testimony makes it clear. This wasn't negligence. It was calculated isolation. And this is the worst of it. Mykelti says Kody would mock his other children openly behind the scenes with Robyn, refer to them as disloyal and reckless for not doing as they were told. For 19 seasons, viewers were told they were watching the raw, unfiltered truth of the Brown family. But Mykelti's testimony ripped the curtain wide open. And in the end, the house of cards that Kody and Robyn built couldn't stand. It was the last straw for Mykelti, something that occurred when cameras were rolling during a critical filming session in late 2021. TLC producers in a drama-starved effort encouraged Kody and Robyn to once again engage in another heated argument about COVID protocols. They wanted Robyn to be portrayed as compassionate and caring, but Kody strict and stubborn. It was the same tired script, but this time, it went wrong. The cameras captured Kody breaking character, ridiculing the entire setup before crew. Mykelti says he laughed after saying a line about keeping the family safe, looking at Robyn and saying under his breath, "Nobody buys this crap anyway." The cast froze. Robyn panicked, pleading sotto voce, "Stay in character." But it was too late. Mykelti, who went on to watch with Tony, says that when the episode aired, it was like producers had cut and spliced, desperate to salvage the scene. But the live feed, leaked by insiders, revealed Kody teasing the very family story TLC had sold for years. This is when the charade fell apart. Even TLC couldn't fully hide it. Fans noticed. Viewers flooded social media with comments about the strange cuts, the awkward pacing. Something felt off. For the first time, the illusion of authenticity was broken. And behind the scenes, Christine and Janelle seized on this moment. They confronted producers with Mykelti's inside knowledge, demanding to know why they were complicit in protecting Kody and Robyn's narrative. Christine, already preparing to leave, saw this as validation. Janelle, already questioning the finances, saw it as confirmation of the lies. And Mykelti's words, delivered on live streams, interviews, and social posts, became the nail in the coffin. She said it plainly. That fight wasn't real. None of it was. My dad and Robyn were never arguing. They were acting. Think about the seriousness of that. Nearly 2 decades of reality TV, condensed to scripted arguments, created drama, and staged tests of loyalty. And one of Kody's own children was exposing it. Robyn, according to insiders, broke down after Mykelti's statements gained traction. She felt betrayed. Kody, on the other hand, fumed. He accused his daughter of destroying his legacy. But what legacy was left? The family was fractured. His credibility was gone. The image of the devoted father and husband was shattered. The wake was swift. Christine moved on and formed a new marriage and life. Janelle moved further out, unwilling to fuel the myth. Even Mary finally gave up the fantasy. And Mykelti? She was the unexpected whistleblower. The Brown daughter who broke the silence and forced the world to see what Sister Wives was actually all about. An edited reality show. Not a family epic. Fans who had rooted for Robyn turned against her. The perfect wife image broke down under the weight of hypocrisy, and Kody, the erstwhile central patriarch, was now the fop. The thespian reading lines in a play that no one wanted anymore. Mykelti's revelations did not just change how fans perceived season 19. They retroactively changed how we perceive the entire series. Every breakfast egg sandwich of family breakfasts, every rules fight, every tearful admission, viewers asked themselves if any of it was real. And that's the true legacy of this exposure. Not just the downfall of a man and his 4th wife, but the downfall of the entire illusion they'd built. Mykelti's final words on the subject cut more deeply than any scripted line ever could. The real moments weren't the ones that you saw on television. The real moments were what they didn't want you to see. The neglect, the manipulation, the hypocrisy. That's the truth, and it deserves to be told. And now through her it has.